KCG-000, also known as the King Crab, is truly a masterwork of art. It was designed by Kosara Weaponries at the request of the famed Alexander Kerensky, as he wanted a mech that would cripple another mech in a single salvo. On that account, Kosara exceeded all expectations, creating one of the scariest mechs to ever grace the battlefield. The King Crab is packed with armor. While not as much as some, like the venerable Atlas, it did have more than enough to shrug off extreme amounts of damage, nonetheless. It is known for its primary armaments, a pair of autocannon 20s. This is also its main weakness, as it has a heavy reliance on its ammunition, which it only carries limited amounts of. This means longer, more drawn-out battles can cause issues for King Crab pilots. Retreating for resupply can cause this mech to be vulnerable to enemy fire. That being said, the only real way of dealing with the 100-ton monster is by overwhelming it with numbers of assaults and heavies. While this mech was unrivaled in close combat, it makes for a poor command mech, which was a role that was eventually filled by the Atlas. Because of this, the later renditions of the King Crab had their state-of-the-art communication systems replaced with cheaper, more common systems more suited to the close-range, brawling nature it specializes in. In 2767, the Kosara Mars factory was destroyed at the start of the Amaris Civil War. This is one of the first of his many blunders, and I might have to cover the Amaris' folly at some stage. Even though the Mars factory was destroyed, the Northwind factory was left unscathed. When Alexander Kerensky had defeated Amaris and failed to rebuild the Star League, he decided to leave with the SLDF. He took almost every King Crab from the initial production with him, including many of the prototype KCG-10s. This number in the inner sphere was reduced even further when the Northwind factory was destroyed soon after in 2786, during the First Succession War. Since the design was simple and didn't use much in the way of lost tech, it was fairly easy to repair in other mechs of the Star League era. Even by the end of the Third Succession War, there were King Crabs floating around in the armies of the Great Houses. When Space AT&T began its takeover of Terra, it repaired the Mars factory, putting it aside for later. This secured a few of the King Crabs for storage. By the start of the 3000s, they gave Kosara a contract to resume producing the King Crab, which heavily bolstered Comstar's forces with hundreds of more crabs. By the time the Battle of Tukyid came about, Comstar had loads of crabs and was itching for a fight. Many of the King Crabs were equipped with lost tech to become clanbusters. Due to its success on Tukyid, Comstar allowed Kosara to resume general production of the mech, in exchange for a portion of the profits. Now for my favourite part, the guns. The King Crab is well known for its pair of Deathgiver AC-20s, one of the deadliest weapons put on a mech, and it has a pair of them. To protect these devastating weapons, they gave this mech its signature claws, which can open and shut at will. This attributes to the crab-like features. As secondary weapons, it also carries a Exostar large laser on the right torso, and an Alarim 15 in the left, both giving the mech some added range that the AC-20s lack. It also comes with 16.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor. It carries 2 tons of ammo for each autocannon in each torso. This is protected by case. It isn't a lot of ammunition, but it is enough to put down quite a few mechs before running dry. As for the engine, it uses the tried and true Valar 300 fusion engine. This gives the mech a cruising speed of 32 km per hour, and a top speed of 54 km per hour. The 000B is a variant for the SLDF Royal Forces, upgrading the heatsinks to double heatsinks, allowing the mech to remove 3 of them and still have far more heat capacity. This extra tonnage allowed for an additional ton of ammo for each autocannon, and allowed an Artemis IV FCS upgrade to the LRM-15 launcher. This is my personal favourite variant. The KCG-0000 is a downgrade that was introduced in 2815. It was initially produced by General Motors, though it was a downgrade. Due to the lack of dependency on lost tech, it wasn't actually much of a loss. The ferrous fibro armour was replaced with standard armour, and the case was removed. This freed up weight for an additional ton of armour, which brings it almost up to par with the KCG-000. The autocannons, lasers, and missile launcher were all replaced with inferior versions. Here we have the KCG-001. It was designed as a clan buster, developed in 3052 just before the Battle of Tukyid. They replaced the autocannons with Gauss rifles, which sacrificed 25% of the damage for far better effective range. The LRM-15 stayed as is, but they replaced the large laser with a Tronal 8 large pulse laser, as well as adding a pair of Streak SRM-2 launchers. To accommodate the additional tonnage, the engine was replaced with an extra light engine. The 005 was a variant intended as an upgrade to the 000. The autocannons were upgraded to LVX autocannon 20s, which allowed the mech to switch between solid slug and scatter munitions. The large laser was upgraded to an extended range version, and the LRM-15 launcher was replaced with a pair of Streak SRM-4s. It also carried an improved C3 computer, allowing this mech to work seamlessly alongside several other mechs in a fight. And that is all I have to say on the King Crab. This is my favourite mech, right after the Marauder. It is one of the deadliest mechs in Battletech lore, being introduced reasonably early in canon, and never really falling out of favour. It is truly a terror. Thank you all for listening, my friends, and have a wonderful day, Mech Warriors.